just now, and we are restoring at 6 minutes. So basically just started, the game just started, and we are going to be playing on islands. All right, and it seems to be pretty decent islands because you can see that all the little extras are in the middle. So basically up for the taking for anyone. And this one is having a bit of extra stone, not really much of the wood in here, and otherwise extra stone in here as well. And last one is having a lot, a lot of gold. 1, 2, 3, 4 gold mines. Oh my! And it is between the red and green, so it could be considered slightly more advantageous for Gamin together with Kushluk and Clan Colombia overall. But seeing how they are having quite bountiful islands overall, they're probably not going to be needing it all that much sooner in here. Looking at the civilizations, we are seeing proper mirror with CZ taking Japanese, Hans and Vikings, the same for the opponents. So not any kind of double civilization or anything that we have lately seen from CZ clan used. Well, already finishing with the second board, it seems like for the green player, and looking overall at the map, I don't really see all that much problems with the fishes just here. Exactly, and unfortunately for the red player, that is exactly where he chose to build his dock. There's not much deep fish, just two of these. One here on the left, well, it's getting slightly better to the left side, but overall it's quite far away from the dock, so I'm kinda guessing that he will be quite happy with building a dock somewhere else, like potentially in here in the corner, so that he has better access to the corner, which is exactly what you should be doing on any kind of map that has a lot of water, like here, or maybe on migration and such. So yes, this is a bit of a problem potentially, but otherwise, I don't really think there's any kind of problem for either of the players. Just a bit different strategy with the docks, as you can see that Ovenka is, as from the CZ clan, going for a bit more aggressive build-up, as the Hans is here on the left side, so quite close to his opponent. So that's going to be basically telling you that he should be galley rushing, of course, as he's advancing into feudal age as the first player, and Skull is going to be just behind him with the last player in the pocket, teal player Applemasher, just going for fast castle as he's not advancing into feudal age yet. And same is similar for the pocket from the other team, as Gamin is also advancing as the last one with 24 villages, which is by far the most out of them all. Yep, it's like that Apple Masher is going to be also going with 24. So pretty much the same strategy, Japanese in the pocket for the CZ clan, for the CLB as well. So that's going to be pretty much the same gameplay from both of these clans. Positioning of the resources on the mainland seems to be pretty much okay as far as gold goes for Apple Masher. Yeah, that's not going to be in target from the water, but what is going to be in the target is definitely going to be those two stones, which is a bit of a problem for him. So definitely something for Caesars to take in mind, or rather keep in mind, and be very careful about that in the next stage of the game. So they definitely need to win the water. Yet again, same position of the stone. Not safe at all, but the gold is pretty much okay, so not any kind of problem in that. Last to have a look at from CZ is going to be Skull. You save gold as well, and as for stone, there is some kind of stone gold mine, or a stone mine. It's pretty much the same, so it seems to be pretty much the theme of this spawn. And let's see if it's actually the same for the opponents yet. Save gold, save stone, and this could be a bit of a problem maybe in Imperial Age, but not really before. And it could be still gatherable from the bottom. But the second gold mine, rather sorry, stone mine, is pretty much fine, so I don't expect any kind of problems with that at all. Yet again, could be a bit safer, the stone, otherwise gold is okay. And second stone as well, so not really any kind of problem for the green player, as you can see that he's already going for housing around the island so that he is as safe as possible. And also interesting switch in the docks, as you can see that the first docks were at the top, basically in a defensive position so that he has access to the back, which is of course understandable. Second dock at the bottom so that he has access to the corner, and the third one is going into the forefront, which is quite interesting, as I'm not sure that he actually sees anything interesting in there. Now, of course, he hasn't scouted anything there yet, so he's basically hoping that he can be help once he advances into Castle Age to his teammates, and well, that potentially can be quite true. In the meantime, Ovenka is already in the offensive. I've already seen some purple boats in here, so he's going into the pocket, kinda ignoring his opponent on the left side, and that's kind of for good reason, because you can see just now Kushluk is advancing with some galleys into the offensive, and that's quite late, so that's quite nicely used time by the purple player, and he's already returning back as he's expecting a fighting from his opponent, but still quite a good job on basically denying the easy fast castle to his green opponent. So yeah, really nicely played in here. On the other side, of course, the teal player is quite safe, not really having any kind of problems like that, even though he's already going for at least a bit of galleys in here, and otherwise quite good economy, going for extra docks at the back, so definitely quite safely played, and not having any kind of problems with the fishies, as of course there are quite a lot of extra deep fish in the back, literally a ton of them. It's pretty nice for him to see. At the top side we are seeing that Skull is doing a pretty good job against blue player, as blue is having all kinds of problems with keeping him at bay. And we also see a bit of lag in here, as yeah, all the movement is kinda choppy. And that's not because of the stream, that's exactly because of the game itself. Yeah, not really slowing, it doesn't do anything. That's unfortunately going to be the feature of this game. Hopefully it's not going to be all that bad, but let's see. Yellow is right now not having enough work around blue's base, so he's going to be joining with purple in denying any kind of sweet economy to Gamin, as Apple Masher is going for fletching, but not really going for Castle Age yet. But he should be, I think, advancing reasonably soon, as this economy push against Gamin is going to be quite deciding, I think, or rather decisive, as Apple Masher, as the pocket for CZ is not being harassed at all, and that basically means that the fast castle from Gamin is going to be a whole lot slower. At the same time, you can see that at least Kushluk is attempting to help him a bit, which is definitely going to be a good idea, but unfortunately the numbers are not equal. And with proper team play by Ovenka and Skal, this is going to be quite easy for them to get rid of all those galleys from the red player. Fletching being researched all around, but yellow is already having quite nice... Oh, quite nice stranglehold on blue. And I'm kinda too early to call that, because you can see that blue is just biding his time, having a pretty decent army, and yellow has to be careful because he could quite easily underestimate the situation. Oh, this wasn't really well played. Definitely wanted to engage at the same time as he actually ejected all those boats, but still, this is going to be a pretty important battle, and if blue can somehow manage to get something out of this, let's switch to Lionheart's point of view. Just one extra galley is going to be coming in. But still, extra galley is coming from the yellow player as well, so it's seeming like that actually yellow is going to be winning. Yeah, numbers are definitely in his advantage right now. Even with the extra right now being made at the very back. But he's taking things a bit more carefully, so yeah, it's not going to be all that easy for the yellow player. At the bottom we also see that Ovenka is basically doing the same job as Skull at the top, doing pretty nice one at that. And keeping his red opponent at bay, which basically is everything that he needs, because they have already slowed the green player quite a lot. You can see that he's having all kinds of troubles at the back, being forced to build galleys a lot faster than he would have hoped. And since Apple Masher is already going into Castle Age, whereas green is not, switching into Gamin, he's going to be clicking just about now as well. Still, it's going to be like a minute later than Apple Masher, and that could be making quite a lot of difference in the gameplay. Seems like pretty decent defense right about now for Gamin, as Apple Masher is going to be just about now fighting. Yeah, has to be a lot more careful than this, and otherwise he's having extra reinforcements coming into the play already, whereas yellow is just having a bit of scouting around the opponent's island, trying to make sure that he isn't surprised by anything, and he is making sure that blue is most definitely not going to be helping in the water all that much, and that is quite important, because as you can see, Lionheart is Viking, and seeing how Skull is Viking as well, it's of course going to transform into a pretty big advantage for CZs in the water overall. Castle Ages for Ovenka and Skull as well, and they are not even fast castling, so yeah, they are definitely going to be good position to close the water quite soon after advancing into all the castles. At the bottom, Ovenka is doing a good job, as we have said a bit earlier, against Kushluk, but Kushluk is basically going for a bit of scouting and trying to basically raid his opponent and buy himself a bit of time so that he can amass a bit of boats right next to his docks and wait for his opponent, or rather ally, Gamin, to advance into the next age and potentially help him with some kind of aggression into his opponents. But of course, he has absolutely no idea that Skull and Ovenka are already halfway into the castle age themselves. Yeah, he needs to be a lot more careful. Cannot really afford to lose any kind of units just now. Especially since he has divided the army. But at the same time, Ovenka needs to be careful as well, because he's losing units quite needlessly. He has probably expected that Kushluk will be just going on some kind of tour around the islands, but that did not happen, and he was paying enough attention. Is right now quite nicely punishing Ovenka, and yeah, the purple player needs to be a lot more careful than this, because obviously, even though he is owning the waters right next to red docks, this might not be proven to be enough. Yeah, Teal already switched into war galleys as universities attempted to be built, and that's probably going to be finished, but not without some loss of the villages. Seems like, well, he was a bit lucky in here, but Castle Age is coming in, Town Watch, War Galleys of course going to be researched, and Bowsaw, and all the extra upgrades like Botkin Arrows, which are just needed in absolutely every case in water battles. What is nice to see is that Blue is definitely not giving up on the water, even though right now he's going to get quite heavily hammered by both the Yellow and the Teal player, but since he is still preparing with the dogs, he is thinking that he can still be a quite decisive force on the water for his team, which is definitely true, as he is the Viking going to be joining the battle as well from the bottom. That War Galleys from Yellow as well, so this is going to be interesting to see if CZ think that they can actually take this battle on. I'm not exactly sure, because they are fighting right next to the Blues and Green's dogs. They seem to be having the numbers, and with all the reinforcements coming for Yellow from the top, it's really looking like, especially right now looking in the middle, as Teal is going to be sending reinforcements in as well, that they are in pretty good position. And since the blue player is not advancing into the Castle Age yet, he's having just normal galleys, I'm not really sure that the green one, Gamin, is going to be enough, or rather strong enough, to deal with two opponents at once, because the battle is, yeah, definitely going to be coming to his home base. Stay with this encounter in here. Yep, so far it's kinda going in the expected direction. CZ's winning in here, so let's have a look at the bottom, how Ovenka is doing. Ovenka seems to be doing quite well, because he's already having War Galleys as well, and you can see that he's forcing Kushluk to retreat all the way around. And we are already seeing GG's right about now here, and it's for good reason, because you can see that Ovenka is basically has been able to eliminate all the army from the red player. You can see that he's going somewhere to the top, just patrolling in here, not doing all that much, and since he has two flanks at the bottom and at the top, and he's controlling everything in here, Red isn't going to be any help, and since the encounter at the top is basically resolved, as Steel with Yellow are doing a pretty good job, yep, CLBs are deciding to call it a game, to go for the second in the set, and that means the CZs are leading in their last match of the season 1-0. So let's check the achievements, where Apple Masher is the MVP, as that of course often happens with the pocket players that are not abused at all on islands or literally any map. And he definitely wasn't. Played quite nicely the pocket position, but has to be said that Ovenka and Skull definitely did their job, and they basically won in the feudal galley rushes in there quite nicely just by themselves. Skull, of course, quite a lot convincingly than Ovenka, but well, Ovenka is like 1800 plus, Skull is 2k plus quite easily. So that's the difference. Nice boom. I mean, not far behind, but he was quite heavily raided on the water, and that basically decided that he's going to be slower and a bit weaker in the Castle Age push than his opponent, Apple Masher. Well then, GG.